Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's release party presentation. Tonight I'm going to show you 4 brand new stamp sets, a new incentive set, and the new Merry Bright StampTV Kit. Now if you're watching tonight's presentation over at StampTV.com, you can click on the links below the screen to play along with the contest questions, our challenge, and to see all of the beautiful projects that our design team has created for you by clicking on the party chat thread and just kind of go through the thread and you'll see all of the gorgeous samples. And all of the products are now available at GinaKDesigns.com, so you don't have to wait to place your order. So sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's release party presentation. The first stamp set that I want to show you is the brand new set by Melanie Menchinger called Fabulous Holiday Label. This new set coordinates with Melanie's Fabulous Rose Frame and Fabulous Labels dies. You can create beautiful cards, tags, and more with the many beautiful elements in this new set. And this new set also mixes and matches with other sets in Melanie's collection. So when you head over to the products in our store, look for the related items to see how many of her past sets can work together with this beautiful new set. The new Peaceful Holidays by Teresa Momber is filled with gorgeous images to color and silhouette images to stamp and color or emboss. You'll be able to create beautiful holiday cards with these peaceful images, and this one will be a must-have for your holiday stamping projects. Look at this cute little one. Chris Dayton has a brand new set this month, and she's drawn the cutest images for her perfect Christmas stamp set. Although sweet kitties can cause a catastrophe around Christmas time, and they can knock over the Christmas tree, you just can't help but love their holiday spirit. And this set is a perfect set for fun holiday cards. Speaking of cute, Beth Salega's newest set, Noel Mouse, is just about as cute as it gets. Filled with sweet little holiday images and adorable mousy greetings, Noel Mouse will steal your heart. Now here's a look at our brand new incentive set. Let me zoom in a little bit on this one so that you can see it a little closer. Our new incentive set is one you've all been asking for, and it's based on our Scripty Sayings series. Here is our new Scripty Holiday. These delicate greetings are perfect for holiday cards, tags, and more. And this beautiful font adds a bit of elegance to any paper crafting project. And now I'm so excited to show you the brand new Merry Bright StampTV Kit. This kit comes with a storage box, just like all of our kits, so that you can keep the entire contents of the kit together, so we can stamp together and you're able to find everything easily each week on Stamp TV. And inside this kit, we've done something a little bit different this time. So let me grab all of the contents out of here, and I'm going to start with the cardstock. Okay, so for cardstock, you're going to get 3 sheets of our red velvet, 3 sheets of grass green, 3 sheets of turquoise sea, 4 sheets of our heavy base weight white, 4 sheets of our black onyx, 4 sheets of our layering weight white, and you're going to get some blue denim, 3 sheets of blue denim. Now in the past we've done pattern paper packs that coordinate with this palette, but this time we decided to give you a few more dies instead. So let me show you first I'll show you the stamp sets, and then I will show you all the dies that you get. So I'm going to put this white piece up here so you're able to see. The first set is called Merry and Bright, and look at the huge images in this stamp set. You get these beautiful poinsettias and leaves, this gigantic Christmas ball, this tree line, which is just going to be gorgeous when it's embossed or when you add glitter and sparkle, and then some fantastic sayings, and this saying takes up almost a whole card front. It's just beautiful. So this is the Merry Bright set, and this is a big set. It measures 6 inches by 8 inches. So this is one of our bigger $23.95, $24.95 size sets. Now this one is called Seasonal Sentiments. And this has these gigantic greetings for Christmas, holiday, and Hanukkah. And then you have all these little greetings that you can pair with the big ones. So you can say, wishing you a, and then you can choose Happy Hanukkah or Happy Holiday, or wishing you a blessed Christmas, Merry Christmas. And you can say Merry Christmas with love. You can mix and match all of these greetings to create personalized cards for everyone on your list. And then we have this huge pine sprig and little pine sprigs so that you can extend that any way you'd like. Tons of snowflake options and pine cones to hang off of that branch. So this is the Seasonal Sentiments set. And again, this one measures 6 by 8. So it's that same $23 to $24.95 size stamp set. So right there you have close to $50 worth of stamps. You've got close to $11 worth of cardstock. And now it's time to see all of the dies. So we did a huge amount of dies in here. Now I want to show you this. This is the 3 big words, but like we've done in some of our mini kits, we also added some word dies to complement those 3 words. And instead of making them add-ons, we put them all on a magnet and we're giving them all to you in this kit. So each of these dies is a $7.95 value. It's got Christmas, which is the same exact size as the greeting, but it's a standalone die. We've got Holiday, and we've got Hanukkah. So you can make some beautiful cards, whether you want to stamp the greetings or you want to cut them out and curve them or stack them up on top of each other to make them thick so they look like an embellishment. You can see I have a little piece of cardstock in there from making cards with this one. So I'm going to put these back on the magnet, and then I'm going to show you the other die sets that you get. Okay. So then for this set, we have a full die set. You can see how many dies come in this die set. Let's turn this around this way. So you have dies to cut the shadow layers out of Christmas, holiday, and Hanukkah. You can cut those shadow layers out. You can see how that looks, which means that you can do recessed stamping inside the word whole. I have so many projects to show you with all of this. Or you can mix this die along with the actual word die, and you can cut out the word Christmas and then sink it down inside the shadow layer, so you can see how that works together. All right, so you've got shadow layers for Christmas, Hanukkah, and holiday. And then you have a die for the pine sprigs, the individual pine sprigs, and then all of the pine cones and snowflakes. So that is a huge die set right there. Huge. And then for the Merry Bright set, let me grab that one. Here's the Merry Bright set. You have all of the dies to cut out these images as well. Look how big this die is. I just have to show you. Isn't that huge? That is a huge die to cut out the ornament. And we have this one to cut out the trees. So if you want your trees cut out, you can cut those out, along with the flowers, the poinsettias, the leaves, and the holly. And then there's also one to cut out this extra dot that can be used to make more berries, and it can be used for some other things, which I'm going to show you in my first card project coming up next. So this is the entire StampTV kit. Rather than give you the $5.95 paper pack, we decided to give you all 3 of these $7.95 word dies. So this kit is valued at over $123, and it's yours for only $59.95. All right, so now it's time to show you the first card project. And let me get this stuff out of the way because I won't be needing this because I have another set that I've already been using. So I want to show you some of the tools and products you're going to need to make this card project. So you're going to need some ink pads, and the ink pads that I'm using are the Gina K Designs Red Velvet, the Grass Green, and then you're also going to need a VersaMark pad. Now I'm going to use an Embossing Magic pad, but you can also use the EK Success tool, the powder tool. You can use that. I tend to gravitate toward this one. I'm also going to use some of the Gina K Designs Fine Detail Gold Embossing Powder. And then for dies, I'm going to use this poinsettia die, and I'm going to use the 2 leaves. Then for other dies, I'm going to pull in some of my ThermoWeb dies, and these are the double-stitched ovals and the single-stitched ovals. And I'm going to make a matte layer out of my greeting using these 2 dies. And of course, if you don't have these dies, you can use any kind of rectangles or ovals that you have in your collection. But if you like these dies, they're also available on our website. I'm going to use some foam squares, and then I have some of my favorite sticky tape by ThermoWeb. I'm going to use a little paintbrush in case I get any embossing powder where I don't want it. I'm also going to use a clothespin. And then I have a couple acrylic blocks here, and I also have my Misty stamping tool. For cardstock colors, I'm going to use some of the Gina K Designs Layering Weight White, some of the black onyx, and then it's all going to go on a red velvet card base. So I'm going to put those aside for a minute, and then I'm going to start some stamping. So I'm going to begin with a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use my red velvet ink pad. And then here's my very well loved set already. You can see my poinsettias are already red from stamping them so much, and my little leaves. So I'm going to start with the large poinsettia stamp, and I'm going to put that onto a large acrylic block. Now, of course, you can do this with your Misty stamping tool or your mini Misty, but I'm going to use that for my greeting. So now once you ink this up, remember when you have new stamps, it does sometimes require a little extra inking and stamping off a couple times before they grab the ink well. And that's just because there could be a little coating on top of the stamp from the manufacturing process. But look at that gorgeous image, and look at how solid that stamps. So that's one image, and now I'm going to stamp some leaves. So I want to grab this small leaf here, and I'm going to stamp that in some of the grass green. And you can use any green for this because the green really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to match the cardstock, but I'm going to stamp, let's see, 3 of these. Stamp 1 more there. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp 1 of the large leaves. Actually, I'm going to stamp 2 of those. There's the large leaf. Can you believe I've had my Gina K ink pads for how many years since we've started making ink? It's been a long time, and I have never re-inked them. And they are still going strong. This was user error down there. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some VersaMark ink, and I am going to grab this berry stamp. It's this little circle, and I'm going to put that on the block. Now, before I do anything else, let's move all this stuff out of the way. I'm going to grab my Misty, and I'm going to stamp the greeting. And the greeting I'm going to use is this large one right here. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So I'm going to grab that off of my stamp sheet. And I'm going to grab a piece of white cardstock. Now I want to make sure that my die is going to fit. So I'm going to just stamp that somewhere in the middle and just position my stamp in the center. This way I know I'm not too far up or too far down. When you have a big piece of cardstock like this, you can pretty much eyeball it. But if it's a small piece of cardstock and you stamp close to the top here and then you go to cut it out, it might cut off a little bit of the edge. So to avoid that, just lay your die where you want it, and then just pop the stamp in the middle of it somewhere so that you know that it's going to clear around the perimeter. Okay, so now I'm going to pick that up like that, and then I'm going to use my embossing magic pad. And I'm going to just rub that all over the surface, and then I'm going to ink this up using some VersaMark ink. And again, with a new stamp, you do want to make sure that you give it a little bit of extra ink just to make sure that it's completely covered. And VersaMark is a great ink to use on your brand new stamps because it actually helps your dye inks adhere better. All right, so we'll stamp that first. Make sure I put good pressure all around it. Okay. And now it's time to emboss. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper here, and then I'm going to grab my gold fine detail embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the surface of those words. And you can see they look perfect. So let's put this powder away and get it out of the way. And then I'm going to grab my heat tool, and I'm going to let it run for just a minute because I want it to be nice and hot, but I really don't want it to warp my paper too much. So if I let it heat up just a little bit first so it's nice and hot, it's going to allow me to get a quick emboss without doing too much warping to the cardstock. So here we go. You can start to see that all coming up nice and shiny. Oh, this is such a pretty greeting. It's so much fun. Okay. So now you can see that that's all embossed and nice and shiny. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. And then I'm going to bring out my big shot. So I'm going to start with, we'll do all of our die cutting and embossing now. I'm going to start by cutting out this poinsettia. Now this, you've got to find the right spot, and it's the tallest leaf here, or the tallest petal that matches the biggest petal, the one that's jutting out the most. But it might take you a few minutes to find it, you know, just keep turning it until it lines up correctly. And once you find it, you can put a little Sharpie dot on the die and also on the stamp image at the same spot on the back. This way you know if you're stamping your stamp like this and the dot is at the top, then you just find the dot on the top of the die and line it all up. So that's one way to speed up the process of stamping and die cutting if you don't want to try to figure it out each time. So once that's in place, I'm going to put that other plate on there and cut. You can see how pretty that cuts out. So there's my pretty poinsettia. Now I'm going to grab the leaves, and I can probably do 2 at a time here. So I'm going to cut the small one and the large one. I really like a lot of leaves with this single flower that I'm doing. So there we go. We'll cut those 2 out first. I could have pre-cut these, but I figured it's a holiday card and you guys maybe don't mind hanging out with me while I cut them all out here live on this video. So there's 2. We'll do the next 2. And then we just have that last little one to do. So let's get that in position. And some of mine aren't exactly straight because I'm rushing here a little bit, but if I had a little bit more time, I might tape them down with washi tape, tape the dies down so I know they're in the perfect spot. And then I have one more die here, this one. And we'll cut that out. Ooh, that moved a little bit. that's okay. All right, so there is my last little leaf. So I have my leaves and my flower right there. And then it's time to cut out this image. And I can see by turning it there that I have 2 little spots left to emboss. And I'm going to do that real quick here. They didn't get totally embossed. There we go, because I don't want that to smear. Now I'm going to use the double-stitched oval for this. So I'm going to cut that first, and I want to make sure that that's in a good spot and that looks nice and straight. Maybe I'll bring it down just a little bit more. And lay my top plate down and cut. So there I have my double-stitched oval. And now I'm going to cut the single-stitched oval out using a piece of black cardstock. And if you cut it right in the center, you can still use this as a layering panel because you won't see what's actually going on the other side anyway, since that all gets mounted onto your card. So here is my double-stitched oval. And you can see, I'm sorry, my single-stitched oval, and you can see the double-stitched and the single-stitched, the large and the smalls, they work perfectly together to create that nice little shadow layer. All right, so I have one more thing that I want to do here, and that's emboss. So I don't know if you've ever used the Big Shot for embossing, but it has these plates, and when you want to emboss, you just open the whole thing up till you get to the plain plate underneath, and that becomes your embossing plate. It's pretty easy to use. You don't need that third plate with a Big Shot. All right, and then I'm going to line this up, and you know me, it has to be right. And you guys are probably the same way. It has to be even. I like it to be very even. That does not look even to me. I have to move it up just a little bit more. All right. That looks pretty good. All right. Then I'm going to put the second plate on top and run that through. And then that is all embossed with that pretty Swiss dot pattern. Okay, so now that my embossing and cutting is done, I have one more fun thing to show you. So we talked about this little stamp here, this little dot stamp. What I'm going to do is, I love the 3 little dots in there. I think they're really cute. But I want something that's going to pull in all this gold embossing powder. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my VersaMark pad and I'm going to ink up this little circle. And then I'm going to stamp that right in the center of that flower. Then I'm going to grab my embossing powder. I'm going to put this on a clothespin because it's going to be very small to heat without getting burnt. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that powder on there. And you can still see the little dots through it, but once I emboss it, that's all going to go away. So this is going to add a little bit more interest to my poinsettia, and it's going to tie in that gold embossing with the flower as well. All right, so now I'm going to emboss that. Let's see how pretty this looks. And there we go. And now you've got that same shine on the poinsettia that's in the greeting panel. All right, and now it's time to assemble this card. So I have my other pieces here. I have my black onyx, my white, and my red velvet. I'm going to start by adhering these 2 panels together using some of my ThermoWeb sticky dot tape runner. And I'm going to layer those 2 pieces together. You know I love this thin little border that goes around. Now this is going to go onto my card base. right. And that gives a nice border around the outside in the red velvet. Now I'm going to layer these two panels together, my greeting panel along with my single stitched oval to give me that nice little shadow layer. And then this whole piece is going to go on my card, but it's going to go up a little bit more toward the top, not so close to the bottom. All right. And make sure that's even on both sides. Looking good. Okay. So there we go. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now it's time to lay out my floral. So I'm going to slip that little point into that area there where there's no words. And then I'm going to kind of lay these out here where I want them. We'll do one here like this, and one over here. You can spread that out a bit. We can even make this one upright a little bit more. There. And then we'll do another big one here and a little one over here. And then we'll have one more peeking out from down here. So that's going to be my layout. So I'm going to pick the flower off the top and kind of see where they're resting. And then I will adhere them one at a time directly onto the cardstock. That just gives me kind of an idea of where they're going to be. I'm just making sure that I don't overlap onto the words. This one, let's do this one here. That'll go up the side there a little bit. And then this one will kind of peek out over there. And now it's time to lay my flower on there. So I can use some foam squares for that. Let's see here. I'm going to move this leaf down just a hair. And I'm going to move this one over just a hair, like that. That's what I love about this little sticky dot runner is you can change things a little bit before it becomes permanent. You have a little bit of time to move things around before you're completely permanent. So I'm just going to put 3 in the center of these little 1/4 inch foam squares. And then I'm going to lay this exactly where I want it and press. There we go. So that is my finished card project. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's release party presentation. Stay tuned to StampTV for lots of projects featuring the brand new Merry Bright StampTV Kit, and make sure you visit stamptv.com to see videos from our illustrators featuring their brand new sets. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and happy stamping.